Euromaxx highlights. And here's your host, Louise Houghton.
Hello and welcome from our studios here in Berlin. We've got a colourful mix lined up for you today, but let's start with a look at the topics. Put it in writing. Paper notebooks are all the rage here in Europe. Flamboyant furniture, profiling French designer Uber Legal. And girl power. Alina Westphal is a professional air guitarist from Germany. And we start off today at the Berlin exhibition of Timeless Beauty, 100 years of fashion photography from Man Ray to Mario Testino. Until the end of October, the exhibition will feature works by 75 style-defining and internationally renowned photographers. From vintage prints to magazine covers, the collection demonstrates some of the running themes in the fashion photography over the last century: seduction, eccentricity and power.
Images of timeless beauty, a century of fashion photography. Like few other genres, they capture the aesthetics, the understanding of female beauty and the spirit of the age. Despite their diversity, the pictures have one thing in common.
Fashion photography was always the same thing, having a model and a dress and a location. And in a way, you are not, I think you find a lot of creativity in these works over the years, because it's always the same thing, the same three elements.
The photographs come from Condé Nast's archives in New York. Of an estimated 5 million photos, 160 of them are now on display in Berlin, among them one of the earliest examples of the genre, taken in 1919. Beginning in the 1920s, photographs gradually came to replace illustration. As fashion magazines grew ever more popular, so too did fashion photography. Julia Zirpel is fashion editor at Myself, a Condé Nast monthly in Munich. She helps select the photos that appear in each issue.
Sometimes picking the right picture is just a matter of nuance. Something about the look in the model's eyes, or a sliver of sunlight. Or the design is especially lovely for some reason. We're looking for that certain something, and it's impossible to predict.
Julia Zirpel creates several different spreads for each issue. Usually she's working on summer fashions in the winter and winter fashions during the hot summer months. But a good photo spread does more than simply capture the latest trend.
The zeitgeist, or the spirit of an age, is important. It's probably the most important question for designers, really. Fashion tries to capture the zeitgeist, and that's what we do here too. Take a pair of flared trousers, for example. They were around in the 70s, but when we use them, we try to capture our own zeitgeist, the style, how they're worn, what the model looks like. Fashion photography is fascinating because when you look at a photo, you can identify exactly when it was taken.
Each era has its own unique style. In the 1960s and 70s, fashion photography was youthful and spirited. The models embodied a spirit of emancipation and freedom. The fashion scene of the late 80s and 90s was dominated by top models like Naomi Campbell and top photographers like Peter Lindbergh from Germany.
Many of the photographers that are seen in the show don't know a thing about fashion, don't care about fashion. I mean, you see a fashion photographer comes in and they, dressed like a schlump, and they don't care. It's about making great pictures,
Retouching may be one of the most hotly debated aspects of fashion photography, but it's not an invention of the digital age. Even in the 1940s, glossy perfection was the aim.
Women want to be beautiful, they yearn for it. They enjoy the fantasy of ideal beauty. Of course, they're not dreaming about skin blemishes. Retouching plays a different role in fashion photography than it does in advertising. Our models can have a unique look to them, so retouching is used more as an aspect of style.
So what is fashion photography anyway? An art or a business?
Fashion photography can be art.
They overlap, I think.
I think it's both. I mean, I would say that fashion photographers are business artists.
100 years of fashion photography. The images are records of their age and objects of timeless beauty. And they're on display in Berlin until the end of October.
Now, as the technological era we're in develops, it would seem the use of a good old-fashioned paper notebook is almost superfluous. However, the variety of the little books is greater today than ever before. Moleskine is an Italian company which specialises in a classic functional style, and its notebooks are popular with both businessmen and artists alike.
Wherever he is, Florian Afflerbach always has his notebook within reach. The Munich-based architect is a member of the Urban Sketches, a group of artists who capture their surroundings in spontaneous sketches and share them on the internet. The notebook is Florian's canvas.
Of course, it's like an artistic act for me. I create something by putting it on paper. For me, a small book always means quick little drawings, lots of information in a small space.
The market for notebooks has grown, and there are notebooks for every taste, with every kind of colour, lines and paper imaginable. The obvious trendsetter is a black notebook made by the Italian company Moleskine. With around 10 million of these sold annually, the company plans to go public at the end of the year. The small notebooks are now a fashion accessory, but their original fans came from the digital world, bloggers from Silicon Valley.
We've understood one thing. The more people have to do with digital media, the more they want to have white paper. They want to turn off the constant stream of information and capture ideas by hand in a way that is pleasant and appealing.
The name Moleskine comes from a novel by British novelist and travel writer Bruce Chatwin. That's what he called the black notebooks once used by intellectuals and artists like Hemingway and Picasso. In 1997, a company in Milan seized on the legend. It copyrighted the word as a brand name. Today, the notebooks are sold in 53 countries. And since June, they've also been available in pop-up shops, temporary stores in Milan and Rome.
What I like about these books is the story behind them, that Hemingway used them. They're a classic.
I like the simplicity. Moleskine answers this need. They're simple and elegant.
It's different to write in a journal than in a computer, for me at least. So I'm old-fashioned, I like writing.
IT expert Christian Mehler has a weakness for beautifully designed books. He's been publishing a blog about notebooks for 3 years now. His page gets 50,000 visits a month. He says that the popularity of Moleskine transformed the notebook market.
It used to be that when you went to a stationery store, they had notebooks. But most of them were just school notebooks or things to scribble on. Because of Moleskine and the entire trend towards digitization, people now appreciate analog writing and writing in real, bound notebooks.
The Italian company also uses the internet to attract new customers. It has a blog, a YouTube channel, and 130,000 fans on Facebook. The company promotes its creative image with videos on notebook art. But the design is kept deliberately simple to attract as many customers as possible.
The look is so neutral that it appeals to the widest possible range of people and tastes, from the traditional businessman, the art student, to the big city hipster.
Moleskine is an expanding company with 400 other products, including bags and sunglasses. German companies are also cashing in on the trend. Kraftpapier uses steel in the binding, while Lino Books uses linoleum.
There aren't any more true innovations. There will always be some exceptions, but the product range is already so wide that all tastes are catered for.
Urban sketcher Florian Afflerbach uses various notebook models for his art, ranging from rough watercolor paper to glossy paper.
It's the whole product that's important. I use it every day, so it has to be easy to carry.
Florian says a beautiful sketchbook is a source of inspiration, and an artist advertises the product every time he or she uses it in public.
And from one artist, we head to Paris to meet another. Hubert Legal specialises in furniture art that is both aesthetically pleasing and functional at the same time. He's always enjoyed the freedom of playing with colours, shapes and materials, and as such has created some fascinating items of furniture that sell for a very tidy sum.
A chair with rabbit ears and a lamp with a stunning silhouette. Works by Hubert Legal on show at the Avant-Scène Gallery in Paris often call for a second look. The designer sees his pieces as functional works of art.
Art is a source of inspiration for me, but I don't like the way art treats objects as sacred. I want to do the opposite, to take art off its pedestal. That's why I give my objects a function, because that makes them more familiar, more personal. Then they can actually be used.
This mirrored table isn't just for decoration, it's also for fun. It contains 35,000 small nickel balls that can be moved around with a magnet. Hubert Legal's creations invite you to interact with them.
Do you want to see yourself or not? This mirror lets you decide. It's like a puzzle. You can open it or close it, depending on whether you want to see yourself. It might be symbolic. It might have something to do with the fact that I'm getting older.
Visitors to the gallery enjoy exploring these unusual objects.
It's very playful, as if he were in a child's world. That's what makes him so special.
The designer works his magic in this artist's residence in the Montmartre district of Paris. Hubert Legal is an accomplished sculptor. His favorite medium is bronze.
You can really weld, melt, and polish this material. There are plenty of finishing options. You can use any number of plates: nickel, silver, gold. Bronze is one of the most malleable metals. That's why there is such a history of bronze sculpture.
Hubert Legal spends little time at his desk. His best ideas come to him while he's traveling, in the bath, or taking a creative break on his favorite couch.
For my objects to have an identity, they have to resemble me somewhat. You're always a better designer if you think, I'm making this for me and someone else will surely like it too.
Elisabeth de la Carte has been showcasing Legal's works for more than 15 years. She's surrounded by his unusual pieces in her Paris gallery, and even at home. Hubert Legal built this princess bed just for her. This lamp is also a conversation piece.
It's a magnificent piece with lots of charm and humour, but also strong. There's a fish at the end of the heron's beak. It might have been caught in the beak or on a fishing line. That's symbolised by the power cord. And there are two other fish next to it that haven't been caught yet.
Today, some of Legal's pieces are design classics. The mayor of Paris owns one of his famous flower tables.
This daisy owes more to Andy Warhol than to nature. It was a very important idea for my career, above all because no one had ever done it before. That's important, to have an idea no one has ever had, because often ideas are just variations on things that have already been seen, or reinterpretations.
Call it crazy or call it genius, Hubert Legal's work demands a response. But a statement piece from the Paris designer has its price. This rabbit's chair made of fake fur and varnished wood costs about €7,500. Surprise effect included.
Now, I'm sure there's all been a time when we've picked up an imaginary guitar and strummed along to a rock song. For some people, though, playing the air guitar is not just a bit of fun, it is their profession. The 17th World Championships have just taken place in Finland, and although she didn't come out on top this time, last year's winner, Alina Westphal, was one of the strong contenders who did everything she could to try and defend her title. Let's see her in action.
In the run-up to a major performance, Alina Westphal practices air guitar 4 to 5 hours a day.
While I do this, I'm really in a kind of trance. Shortly before I go on stage, I always think, you must be mad to stand up here in front of 7,000 people.
This performance won her the World Champion in Air Guitarist title last year. She had just 60 seconds to convince the jury. At the championships in Finland, she beat out 20 other finalists. It's the second time a woman has won.
Rock music is a male-dominated world, and you expect a rock star like Mick Jagger. Women are more seldom. But although it's not that common in general, women are well established and respected in the air guitar world.
Points are awarded for the competitors' acting talents, stage presence, technique, and creativity. Alina Westphal places great importance on incorporating new moves into her show.
Yes, I invented something new. There is the windmill, and mine is smaller, the clockwork. It only works here, and not everyone can do it. There seems to be something wrong with my arm. I can wind it up, I can throw it over, which doesn't work with a real guitar. That's the advantage of an air guitar.
Most recently, Alina appeared at the world's biggest heavy metal festival in Wacken in northern Germany. Henner Moltan is an event organizer. He knows why she's so successful.
She's unique because she has something really special when she performs. I don't know many air guitarists who can match her. Make the audience feel they can see and feel the guitar, that it's really alive.
Born in 1984, Alina Westphal has just completed her studies in stage arts at the University of Hildesheim. She discovered her passion for air guitar by chance.
There was this air guitar seminar. That's where this insanity began.
She discovered her talent at a workshop called Media Aesthetic Thoughts on Air Guitar. She didn't just want to play air guitar, but also examine it academically. She wrote her final thesis on the cultural history of the air guitar and got high marks.
There is no air guitar lexicon or anything similar. So there's not too much to work with, so it wasn't that simple, and that's why I'm especially proud I was able to shed some light on this topic, despite the lack of literature. Someday my thesis will be among those books.
2 years ago, Alina founded an air guitar band. With an air guitar, an imaginary keyboard, saxophone, and bass, Four versus Hellfire poke a little fun at all the rock cliches. They perform their own program and even have an air rock opera in their repertoire.
With this song, we always have a flow because it packs a punch and it's fun.
It has to look good, not be technically accurate.
People are often irritated by someone playing the air guitar.
Last night, a little angel came pumping on the floor. She said,
Sure, it's strange to play in front of people who maybe don't want to see someone staging something and who can't relate to air guitar. But no one made a fuss, and I think some of them even liked it.
Now, have you ever got home from a hard day at the office and had zero inspiration for your evening meal? Well, now there's a supermarket in Berlin that does all of the hard work for you. When you enter, you find special counters laid out with recipes and the exact amount of ingredients needed to cook them. Not only does it save you time, it also gives you the inspiration to try something new.
Couscous shares space with plums. Bottles of red wine sit beside fresh mint and bell peppers. The Kochhaus mixes and matches contrasting foods and beverages. Here, items are arranged by the recipes they're used in. The Kochhaus boasts 18 rotating dishes, from appetizers to desserts. And the customers have to make just one stop to shop for all the ingredients in, for instance, breast of duck with plum sauce. Annika Wellnitz is a regular customer. The Berliner is planning a dinner for herself and her mother.
You've got everything at one glance as soon as you enter the shop, and that saves a lot of time. You don't always have to be so creative because it's all there and you know how it's supposed to taste. And the recipes are very simple. It makes cooking fun.
Dorothea Karsch and two friends came up with the idea. In 2010, they opened Berlin's first Kochhaus. 3 branches soon followed in Berlin and Hamburg. Now the founders are looking for the right franchisees. About 100 have expressed interest so far.
It was a dream come true for this concept we'd developed, the Kochhaus, to become such a hit. We'd never expected it would go down this well in such a short time.
Chefs come up with up to 3 new Kochhaus recipes a week. 200 so far and counting. They have to be easily reproduced by customers at home in the given time. Amateurs test them out.
I try to make sure the steps are clear and easily understandable and the quantities are right. I see if the ingredients make just enough for 2 people.
Lorna Bösel is serving an internship at the Kochhaus. She's one of the 3 hobby chefs preparing a new tarte flambée with apricots. The recipe is only made available to customers after it's been tried and tested. Taste is the ultimate criterion. The test chef suggests a couple of improvements.
With the creme fraiche, for instance, we could think about adding some things to it to make it a bit juicier, because there'd definitely be some customers who'd like it. I'm sure we could play around with it a bit more.
All the ingredients are available in the measures given in the recipe. So, for example, a customer can buy a single bouillon cube in an 11-gram package.
It's a good thing for when you have a date or something. You can come here together and pick out a nice dish, and you only have to buy the amounts you really need to make the recipe.
I've got a little baby and this just makes things easier. And I'm quite willing to spend €1 more for that too.
In July, the Kochhaus issued its first cookbook. The idea itself is a recipe for success. Inquiries have been coming in from other European countries, but the company has enough to do in Germany for now.
We hope to see the Kochhaus present in every German city, large and small, within the next few years. And then our next step will be to win other countries over for the idea. And then we'd like to be mentioned in the same breath as other big supermarket and grocery store chains.
Annika Wellnitz and her mother have decided on a tomato and star anise risotto with fennel salami. It costs €3.90 a portion. All they have to do is cook it themselves.
Well, that sounds like a nice evening in. So on that note, it's time to say goodbye for today. Thanks for watching, everyone, and until next time, as we say here in Germany, tschüss.